Welcome everyone. This recording is going to be short. I want to keep it less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to dive right into the subject. Identification. I won't say identity because under the word identity, people understand different things. They give diverse meanings to the word identity. So I want to talk about identification. Identification is whenever you permit something or someone to determine who you are. That's what identification is. And the message that it or that individual claims you are, that's the identity. So I've explained what identity is and what identification is. Now, why am I beginning about identification? Is because we are designed to identify with the promises of the Most High. That's where we find all the fulfillment and all the satisfaction of spiritually, but also in other areas of life. What happens now is that unbelievers, people that don't trust the Most High, they identify with circumstances. And because they identify with circumstances, they make categories in their mind which circumstances are pleasant and which are harmful. And now they are seeking for structures, patterns, and cycles to attach themselves to in order to preserve the circumstances or the imagined outcomes they identify with. That's how the world operates. That's why the world is filled with symbolism, and that's why the world, that's why in the world freedom is basically non-existent. Okay, and that's why there's so much discrimination and sectarian violence in the world, because the things the people of the world, the things the world let's identify with, they have no certainty and they can never fulfill what they promise. For example, you have people that identify with, they have a spouse and they identify themselves with their spouse. Okay, their spouse has now become a small god or goddess in their lives. So now they have become emotionally dependent upon the approval of that spouse. As you understand, this cannot go well. This will not end up right. This will not have a happy ending. Absolutely not. Yet many of such things are in the world. Some people identify with, the excitement they feel when they drink a bottle of wine or a bottle of beer. They attach themselves to the relief they feel when they become drunk. So they become drunkards. They become alcoholic. You see? So, in short, what am I trying to say in this video? Sorry if I'm not, if I'm not structured in my talk, because I did not prepare for this video. I'm just making it spontaneously. Don't identify with the world. As a believer, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. That implies that you're in the world, you do what you have to do in the world. That means you go to your job, you go to your studies, you pay your taxes, you pay your rent, and you drive safe on the road. You do the basic things that are objectively valuable, that are needed. So you take your responsibility for those things. Besides those things, you have nothing to do with the world. You have nothing to do with their philosophies, with their tensions, and all of that. You don't. So don't identify yourself with the world. Why? Because you are delivered from the world. You, as a believer, you identify with the Most High and with His righteousness. And because you identify with His righteousness, you see yourself as His promises declare you to be. So look, let's say you messed up. You failed. Okay, you messed up, you failed. It happened. Because you don't identify with your own works and you don't identify yourself with the outcome of your works, That's why you don't need to have this emotional wall to protect yourself from being hurt, when people confront you. Because you identify yourself with Christ, with the righteousness of God, that's why you can handle when you fail, and you can learn from it, and you'll become better. You see? Because pride is an emotional wall to keep all unpleasant circumstances out. But pride is also very harmful because you're locking yourself in. The thing is, when you identify with the righteousness of God, when you identify with His promises to you, pride becomes non-existent, because there is no space for that emotional wall when you're abiding in the abundance of His grace. Well, as I mentioned before, I want to keep this video short. Identify with the promise of the Most High. Don't identify with circumstances. Because the moment you identify with circumstances, listen carefully. The moment you identify with circumstances, you are attaching yourself to whatever is going on in those circumstances. And by doing that, you are blocking the blessing and anointing from operating on your behalf. Okay, let me say it like this. Let's say I've used this example before, but I'm going to use it again. There is a flu epidemic. Many people are becoming ill. Some people even died. It's a fact that is happening. That circumstance is going on in your country, and you are living in that country. Those are two facts that are true. This does not mean that you have to identify yourself with the threat, because the moment you identify yourself with the threat, you have disagreed with the promise of divine health on your behalf. And when you do that, you're basically saying no to the anointing of Christ upon you, and you're saying yes to the danger. And when you say yes to the danger, you're opening yourself up for darkness. And once you become attached to that darkness, sickness will begin to manifest in your life, close to you. Listen, a lot of times we identify with things, and because we identify with those things, we escalate the dangers and we escalate the curses, because we are fooling the darkness without being aware of it. But that's how we were trained in the world since childhood, to identify with circumstances and to identify with dangers. Now listen, you're born again now. Unlearn what the world has taught you and learn what Christ is teaching you. The Lord is using me now to reach out to you. I don't expect you to agree with me. I agree with Him. I agree with Christ. I agree with His word. I agree with His promises, and identify yourself with His promises. And I don't care what the circumstances are. Identify in Him. That being said, you all remember, He is the vine, we are the branches. And no branch has any potential out of itself. You know, when you look at a vineyard, the branches are an extension of the vine, and it's the potential of the vine that is expressed in the branch. Now, you are the branch, He is the vine. So don't block His anointing from flowing through you by agreeing with circumstances or by agreeing with past experiences. Identify yourself in Him, through Him, and with His promises. That being said, you all, shalom.